Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. What I've got for you today is how I have the autofocus set up on this camera and the buttons I have set for it. I finally found something I really like that's pretty close to my R5 that works for me as how I shoot. Your mileage may vary how you want to shoot. You can vary this up. The two things I need for sure when I'm shooting is I need animal eye detect anywhere within the frame. So anywhere I see in the viewfinder, I want it to grab anywhere in there. Well, that's animal eye focus, just like I have in the R5. Second thing I want to have set is a single point where I tell it where I want it to go, that exact point I want to focus. So let's say you have like a fox in the grass. A lot of times, especially in the fall, I will shoot through a little bit of the grass to give that, with the grass is really close to me, give it kind of a haze filter. It looks kind of neat to me anyway. But I can't focus on the fox because it's going to grab the grass in front of me. So what I do is I find a part of the fox I could see, maybe it's his ear tip or something. I hit the single point and I grab his ear tip, which brings his head in focus. Once it brings his head in focus, then I can hit the eye autofocus and it should grab his eye if I can see it. If not, sometimes his eye kind of moves in and out of focus, so I can hit the single point, get that focal plane as long as he's not moving, and I've got him in focus. So I need that single focus. One thing that the R7 changed from the R5, excuse that big drop, was it has subject detect. If you have subject detect on, it will always bring the little white boxes up to find whichever item you're put, no matter what autofocus setting you're in. This is really cool when you have things in the open, there's no obstructions with it, or little obstructions, and you can see an eye or a head or a body. And what that's going to do is it's always going to do it. With those woodpeckers, why I kept missing, as I found out later, is I had single point on, but every time I'd hit it, it would still jump to eye autofocus close to it because it's subject detect on, and it would always jump to that piece. And that, or auto eye focus, it would jump to that also. But I wondered if I'd had it just set to single point without the subject detect on, it would have hit it better. So the subject detect's trying to help you. And if you're sitting, your single point here, but there's an eye close to it, it's going to jump to that where it thinks the eye is. In my case for the woodpecker, that was a little spot right above his head and behind his head. So it didn't work for me. Pretty soon here in this next week or next several days, I'm going to do every menu item, every one of these menu items and how I have it set and what I've found that works best for me. Now that's going to change over time as it does for all of us. We find something we like a little bit better. But anyway, in the first one, image quality, I set it to C-RAW. Just has a little smaller file. Personally, and you guys can tell me in the comment section if you're noticing a difference between RAW and C-RAW. I have yet to find a difference. I know Dwayne Patton and some other people and Jared, all those guys that have these channels, they couldn't find anything really different. It's small, slight different, but not enough really to affect the image. But again, tell me if you find different and we're good there. So nothing there, nothing here on 2, nothing on 3, nothing on 4, nothing on 5 that affects what we're doing there. The raw burst mode and all that stuff, that pre and post focus, I'm gonna make a separate video on that because it's a different beast altogether. So let's ignore that for now. Another video. All right, so we get here to the drive modes. This is gonna be on the camera icon, menu 7, we're gonna go drive mode. Silent shutter function, I want that to off. I want sound for me, so we'll leave that off. Electronic shutter, shutter mode, I'm gonna keep it on electric. I'm gonna show you how to change between 15 and 30 here in a minute. H plus is 30 frames a second. H on the drive modes is 15. There's one more below that. You can drop it even lower if you want, but if you're gonna drop it lower that, well, you might go to mechanical. I set the release shutter without card to off because I don't want to do that. I want to know when I hit the button, it says you don't have one. It's happened to me before. You don't have, because you get to walk and you start walking, you hit it, oh crap, I need to put a card in. Happened to me more than once. All right, so that's all we're gonna set there. Drive mode, like I said, doesn't matter right now. We're gonna change that later. And I'll show you a way to change it on the fly. So set it to whatever you want to as default. And then electronic, sign it off. Menu 8, nothing in here. Actually, yes, there is. Okay, let's hit this on number 8. We're gonna hit customize quick controls. This is how we're going to change this drive mode. So we go to customize quick controls. We're going to edit layout. And we're gonna hit it one more time and it takes us in here. So you have all these different items you can select. The first one is if you want to change your AF areas through the Q button, because what this is a Q button when you hit it. And this is what you're going to see through the viewfinder. And as you know, when we're shooting wildlife, most of us, at least I do, I'm always looking through my viewfinder. What I can do real quickly, I hit the Q button, I can change my drive mode right there on the fly. If you want to change your autofocus mode here, you can. I'm not going to do it. This is the one that's going to change it from servo to single shot. Some people may like that. And this is the drive mode. I have it checked. You know, so there's a little checkbox. So turn it off, turn it on. So we want that checkbox. The last one is the metering mode. Say, I can see in the winter, I may turn this on because I may want to change from spot to evaluative because of different types of subject in the snow. But anyway, once I've got that set, all I got to do is hit the menu button to exit. So make sure you got that checked only, hit that, and you get out. So now what happens is if we hit the Q button on here, you see right here, we've got only one item showing in the Q area. So now we can hit here, and if we go to the right, now we're at 15 frames a second. Hit Q, we're at 15, we're out. Hit Q again, that says I'm in 15. I just tap this button, the Q, any pad to the left. Now I'm in 30 frames a second. Hit Q, I'm back out of it. It's that quick. 15, 30, that quick. So that's the first thing we set up. All right. So now we know how to change our drive modes from 15 to 30 in silent. And let's go back in the menu. We'll go to 9, nothing we change here. Movie recording size, it's all movie stuff, we don't care. All right, we're into the fun stuff. We are into the autofocus modes. Here's where it gets interesting and important. All right, AF operation mode, yes, servo. So your thing starts focusing. Your camera will focus in servo. It'll keep trying to focus. If you have it in one shot, it's going to set your lock. Whatever you're focused on is going to stay there. All right, next area is AF area. You have all these different ones. I set mine to spot to start with. It doesn't matter. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you a way you can change whichever focus areas. Right now, and I'll show you how to change this, I only have the wide area and that one. So what we have new in this one, well, not new. The first four are the same way we always had. Single point, spot, single point, 4 points, 9 points. Then we have 4 new ones. 3 customizable areas and 1 all area. So any of these first 3, you can set it to the height and width you want. By default, the first one is a small square. Second one is a tall, long square, about a third of the screen. Third one is the middle band. But you can change those any size you want. I just have those 2 because what I'm going to do is the way I'm going to run it. Menu back out. All right. Subject tracking is the important, when I was talking about, if you've got it on, it's always on, you can't turn it off. If you have it off, you can turn it on and off. So we're going to set it to off because I want to be able to set that single point wherever I want to put it. And this is important to have this off. We're going to assign a button in a minute that's going to turn that subject tracking on and off as we need it. All right. Next thing we do, since we're wildlife photographers, we're going to do cars. Now we're going to set it to animals. All right. Eye detection, enable, of course. If you don't have it enabled, you know with the R5 and the R6, you set eye detect and you didn't see the enable till you got somewhere else, and it drove us all nuts. The first day we had the camera, we thought the eye detect did not work. Found out there's another setting. The next setting here is switching tracked subjects. All right, so this one is up to your taste. I'm going to leave it on 1 because I just want the default. If you set it to 0, what it's supposed to do is you lock onto a subject, it's going to try to hold that subject, even if you get near another one, and as long as that's still on the screen, of course. If you go to 2, it's supposed to see whatever subject you're locked on. If you get close to another one and it thinks it's more in the center, it's going to jump. 1 is going to kind of be a hybrid between the 2, and that's the way I have it set. All right, we're going to menu item number 2. This is another thing that changed. Normally, I always set mine to 2, and 2 was continue tracking when things go like grass or limbs. A lot of people would do on 4, something that moves fast, like a bird in flight. So if you're tracking terns and swallows, 4 may be better. Me, I use 2 because my stuff goes down, like owls going between trees. And it'll hang on to that even if it goes behind the tree as long as it comes back out. But what I've found, and other people that I've seen their videos and talked to, this auto is working just as well. A lot of people didn't even know that it was set to auto. They just were playing with it and they realized everything's good and great. So we've all left it to auto, at least I have. All right, we go to menu 3. There's nothing I change on this menu whatsoever. On 4. Here is how I was setting where I only have the 2 areas, the single point and the all area. I hit it here, so you hit that button. You go back again. It's limit AF areas, AF menu number 4. Limit AF areas. Hit that. All you do is go in here and uncheck them. So you just drive left and right with your D-pad, find the 2 or 3 or 4. If you want, you know, one of these other methods, you just turn it on like that. I don't want it on. I just want the single point and the all area. And again, I'll show you a button that we can jump between the two real easily if you need to. Get out of that menu. All right, let's go to 5. This menu is, I'll do this in the other one. This basically is where you get your blinkies, people call it, and focus guide's going to tell you when you review your pictures, it'll show you where your focus point was. I don't have those set for myself. Nothing else here that I have set. We go into the blue menu. There's nothing that I'm setting in here. The next thing we're going to set is the sound of the electronic shutter, okay? We're going to go to the wrench icon, the yellow menu. We're going to go number 3 tab. We're going to go down to volume. If you hit the volume, it open up. This is all the volumes on the camera. The very first one is the one we're concerned about. By default, it's set to 2 when you have it not in silent mode. I have it set to 1, and it's pretty quiet. Like in the first video I had of reviewing this camera, you couldn't even hear the shutter. Even when I was trying to hold it next to my mic, I couldn't hear it, but you can hear it with your ear. Everything else I have set to 0. The beep taken per minute, I don't care about that. That's when I'm shooting video, I don't really care. Everything else set to 0 just because I don't want any other sounds. Shutter volume, 1. All right. Out of here, don't believe there's anything I set in this from here on out until we get into this next menu. There are things you can set in here like your shutter speed range. We'll get that in the full review later, but we're just talking about autofocus and budding settings. Okay. Now here's the meat of everything right now. We've already set it where we tell it to, you know, we want animal eye detect, we want 1 beep, and we've told it, hey, these are the 2 areas I want to look at, and how do we change it to 15 to 30 frames a second. Now we're going to do all the other things of how the focus all systems all work for how I do it, so I can get animal eye detect, single points, and change all those things. So here we go. So we go down into the settings menu, the orange one. We're going to go to customize buttons on tab 3. All right, so let's get into that one. The very first thing you do, because I do back button focus. Why back button focus? If you have whatever, like right now we have AF single point set to it, anytime I hit this, it's going to go AF single point, always. So whatever you set in the menu here is going to be assigned to this button. If you've done single point and you set it to a spot and you hit this button, it's going to stay that single point. But if you've hit the animal eye detect and it grabbed the animal to the left, but you have your whatever your focus point set to maybe on the right, if you hit that focus button or the shutter button, it's going to focus on that point. So we're going to decouple that. In this menu, the very first thing we see is that shutter button. And we're going to assign that one to, so you only have 3 options because this limits each button, what you can do with it. We're going to set that to metering start. By default, it's over here metering AF. We don't want the autofocus to start. And we sure don't want the AE lock. We don't want the auto exposure lock. So what we're going to do is meter. If we have pressed that, that's going to try to get the metering. It's going to do that valued over spot, whatever metering type you have set. All right, let's hit the center button and set OK, and we're out of there. Next, we're going to set, for me, you can sign this somewhere else you want, but this button in the front, that's right in front of your, how I have my shutter dial is the MN or MFN button. And what I'm going to do, this is where we're going to set our subject detect. Let's hit that button. What we're going to do is we're going to hit this one here, this little looking icon. It's the start stop tracking. We're going to assign that to the MFN button. All right, we hit OK on that one. Anytime we hit that button, no matter what one we're in, it's going to try to find whatever animal. It's going to be that little white box, and it's going to be a double box. It's going to show up around it. Another quick thing about that double box, if you have that double box and you see 2 arrows on both sides of it, you can say you got 2 ducks that are really close. It sees it, and that double white box goes around and says, here's the eye, I think I see it. It gives you 2 arrows to it. If you hit that center joystick in the circle thing, left or right, and you got 2 ducks next to it, left or right, it'll jump to the other one, and you can touch it again to go back to the other one. As long as you see those little brackets, little arrows on the outside, you can touch that pad and it'll jump between the ducks for you. So it's pretty cool, or whatever animal you got. That's where it's set there. That's subject tracking. Hit it once, it turns it on. Hit it again, turns it off. Again, if you hit the autofocus and you come out of it, then you got to touch it again. Alrighty, next button we're going to change is that AF on button here. This is the one right next there. That's the standard autofocus, what people use for button focus traditionally. By default, it's set to this AF button. It's going to be just whatever focus method you want. I set that one to AF, the IAF. So what that's going to do is anytime I hit that AF on, it's going to go anywhere that in the viewfinder, it's going to look for an eye, and it's going to go grab it. It's just going to find it. If you have the metering, the select subject on, and you have that MFN button, it's going to find the eye for you, and you can kind of figure out which one before you hit the eye tracking. And it's going to go to that one. The one that little white box is on, it's going to jump to that one, or try to. All right, so our next one is going to be it's normally the AE lock. I'll just call it the star button from now on. It's easy for me to call it star because it looks like a little star or an asterisk. So in this one, normally it's set to the metering, but we're going to change it to the autofocus button. So what that icon tells you, it says metering and start AF. So if you're in single point, it's always going to go single point if you hit that button. If you're in a small zone, it's going to look inside that small zone only for the focus. So it'll do like your normal little squares everywhere. If you have full screen, it's going to look all over the screen for any type of object. It could be a tree, a car, a boat, a house, whatever. It's going to try to grab that item. All different subject areas. And so it'll do whatever autofocus method you've had it set on. There you go. All right, our next item is going to be the button right below the star one, which is normally where your autofocus points are. And what we're going to set that one to is the one right next to the subject detect, and it says direct AF area selection. So remember when I had only the two areas selected, in that one spot I had the single point and the all area. Let's say I had one of the other ones, 3. What that's going to do, anytime I hit this button here, the one right below the star button, it's going to jump between my focus methods. So let's just do that real quick and show what it looks like. Right now it's set to single point, and if I hit that button with the passion, it's not, there it goes away. I just wasn't pushing it hard enough. Now it's set to the whole screen. I hit it again, it comes back to single point. So this button right here will cycle through the different methods. It's having a hard time because the lens cap's on. If the lens cap's off, it just jumps right to it. It's not this hard to change. So that's the whole screen. Touch it again. So it's just going to go in a circle with, whichever ones you have set. That's why I want 2 set instead of 3. I could put 3 in there and jump to them. Let's go back into the menu. So that is all the custom buttons I have set. There's other ones you could set if you want to, but that's all I have set. So once again, real quickly, shutter button is metering start. M-FN is my subject detect on and off. My AF on is my eye auto detect. And my star button is whatever focus method I have set, or whatever focus area I've set. Single, all area, whatever. And then my last one is the one right below that. That will cycle between my different AF areas. Okay. All right, let's get out of this menu. Customize dials. I don't have anything custom. Oh, I do have customized. As you see here, I have this dial, the top one. You can see it on the little icons. That's set to my shutter speed. I have the dial, the big one that's been moved. That's my ISO. And for my aperture, I could assign it here, but I don't because I don't use those control rings. I just hit my Q button and change my aperture. It's that easy for me. All right, let's get out of this menu. That is it, I believe. Let's go to 4, nothing here. We go to 5, nothing here. To be honest with you guys, that is every bit of how I have this camera set up. Pretty simple. It's a fast rundown. Turn subject detect off, and we'll control that through the MNFN button. We're going to, I keep saying MNFN, it's MFN button. That will turn subject tracking on and off. From there, if I need to cycle between single point and all area, I hit that button below the star button, and that's going to change my focus methods, my AF area methods. If I want animal eye detect to find anywhere in the frame, I hit AF on button. If I'm in single point, or whatever focus method I'm in, area, single point, then I just hit the star button. It will go to where I have that single focus point. That's it. If I want to change my drive modes, remember I hit Q, I move it left to right, whichever one it is, 15 to 30, I change that out. That's it. Pretty simple. And that gets me. It's pretty much like my R5. Animal focus anywhere in the screen, single point to find my animal, and I can turn subject tracking on and off to switch between different types of birds if there's more than one in the area. I can set areas. And that is what's working the best for me. The auto section for that. Birds and flights work great. Everything has been sitting working great. It's working a lot better now. I haven't, of course the woodpeckers flew off. I couldn't test anymore, but I was testing on some other things that were in the grass the other day, like the fox and some other stuff. Works great. I love the setup. All right, guys, that is pretty much how I have my camera set up for wildlife, for the autofocus settings and the buttons I'm using for that autofocus setting, how I can move quickly. Always looking for a quicker way to do the menus, and that's what I found so far that works the quickest for me, to be able to get to those drive modes, get to the focus mode I want, be able to get to that animal, find that animal, focus on the areas I want to so I can get creative and have some fun. A longer video will be out with every setting in this camera, but this one right now is just for, you know, this autofocus settings. Leave me comments, guys, what else you'd like to see. I've got a pretty good list from everybody that's been commenting on the videos, and thank you very much. It's been really helpful, and it's nice to get the feedback of what you guys want to see in this camera and what you think of the videos and what you'd like to see more of. And, you know, like I said, with these autofocus settings also, tell me what you found useful. Tell me where you thought maybe I went wrong, that maybe I could work better with this. I'd love to hear it, because everybody's got some really neat ideas, and everybody works differently. Remember that too, guys. We don't always work the same. What works for me may not work for you. What works for the next guy may not work for you either. But it's just, that's the way they found to work. But it's always good to collaborate and share your opinions instead of try to force them on everybody. I haven't seen anybody do that, but I've been around some people who said, oh, you got to do this, you got to use that. Adapt it the way you want to and make it work for you, because this is all about creativity and having fun. Take it seriously, yes, but don't take it too seriously. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, like, share, all those fun things. And you guys have a safe holiday. The 4th is coming up. Don't blow your hand off if you can get away with it, but go have fun. And I will see you guys in the next episode. You guys take care.